Hello, hello, hello. Let me just share this really quick. Hello, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Who knows what time it is? I am just going to share this out really quick. Let's go. All right. There we go. All right, there we go. Hello, everybody. How are you? Good evening. Hello, happy morning. I don't know what time it is. Who knows? It's all the same, right? I'm just also have it up on my computer screen so I can see you all, because sometimes my phone is a little funky, but we're just going to roll with it. Let's see if we can get this to work. Come on. There we go. Now I can see all your comments. Hey everybody, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope Savara here. I'm really excited because we moved this little training, you could call it, to Facebook here so that you can tune in and watch at your leisurely and watch the replay really easy, right? That's one of the beauties about social media. Drop it down in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in to today. If you're still on the road, don't type and drive. Like let's not do that. But if you're at home or you're parked for the night, let me know where you're coming into live down in the comment section below. I'm coming to you live from my office here in Wisconsin. If you're in Wisconsin, woohoo, love the Midwest. And we are talking about posture tonight. And so if you're wondering what it is that you can do to improve your health, if you're wondering what you can do to get rid of things like neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, even foot pain, posture is one of the number one things that we can do to improve our health. When I started on my own journey almost 20 years ago, I stepped into yoga and movement because I needed it mentally. I was struggling with an addiction and pretty much out of options. I've done the whole therapy thing, did the doctor route, all that, and nothing was working. And I don't want to say my family gave up on me, but they just kind of were like, what else can we do? And someone mentioned to me the word yoga. And I was like, no idea what this was, but I was interested. And so I went to my first yoga class and something changed. I remember walking out the door, looking back into the room, and for the first time in a really long time, my mind was clear. I didn't have these racing thoughts about, myself and the world and anxiety. Like I felt nothing. I hadn't felt that in years. And I just kept going back. I didn't know what I was doing. I was shaking all the time. I was half of everybody's age. I didn't feel like I could do things right, but I kept coming because it felt different than many other things I had done before. And that eventually snowballed into me opening my own studio and having a school, teaching other teachers how to teach yoga. And eventually I found trucking, my love. All of you guys, I love you so much. And through that whole journey, I learned so much more about health and about our body and about wellness than I ever knew before. And I started recognizing that in the fitness world, in the health world, so many people were just teaching movements, teaching poses. They had no clue. I was one of them. No clue about how the human body actually worked. They had no idea about how the bicep moves or the core or how the glutes work or mobility versus flexibility. Like they just memorized things from a manual, and the majority of the fitness world operates that way. The majority of people teaching exercise operate that way. It's not their fault. It's just how they're taught. And over 20 years of teaching myself, but also teaching teachers, I really recognized that there are fundamental principles that we all need to know and we all need to add into our life if we truly want to live a healthy life. Now, it's really cool when you can do a bunch of push-ups and you can run really fast and you can do hundreds and hundreds of squats without pain and lift heavy weights and hold a headstand for 20 minutes. Like, that's all really cool. But if it's not leading you down a path closer towards wellness, if it doesn't help you in your everyday life, what good does it do for you? And one of the number one things I have discovered over 20 years working with thousands of people in pain, thousands of bodies, thousands of movements, exercises, poses, is that like functional wellness, functional fitness has everything to do with your posture. This has nothing to do with exercise. This has nothing to do with having the right fitness equipment or wearing yoga pants or whatever it is. This has everything to do with your everyday well-being. And that is what I want to talk to you about tonight. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, hey, Cheryl, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your overall posture? Without even me telling you what is good posture and what is not good posture, how would you rate your overall posture? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. Like I'm a cripple. Like I should be in a wheelchair. Like I can't even stand up straight. I'm the old lady when I went to parochial school. I'm the old lady at Hope's Church when she was a kid that her head was lower than her back. She had this huge hunchback and it like freaked me out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never want to be like that as an adult. It's like burned in my memory. Like that's 1, okay? And 10 being, I have the best posture. I have no issues. Like, I know what good posture is. I feel good every day. Like, yes, like 10, 10, 10. Like, that's 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your posture? I would say that I'm like a 7. You know, I definitely catch myself in certain positions, but I'd say majority of the time on average, I'm a 7. And so drop it down below. Let me know, how would you rate your posture? Because before you can change anything in life, your diet, how you move, how you see the world, anything, you have to have an awareness of where you're at. You have to have an awareness of how it is you behave within that scope in order to change anything. And this is, I think, a big part of why people don't change, right? Because they don't want to look in the mirror. It's scary, right? But posture, well, you can look in the mirror and see your posture just right there, right? Hey, Joey. Hey, Harold. How are you? Okay, so rate your posture on a scale of 1 to 10. Let me know down below in the comment section. And then number two, I want you to think about what good posture looks like. Like, who do you know in your life that you've seen that has good posture? Because tonight, stay tuned in, because tonight we're going to cover a couple of things. 1, we're going to talk about what causes bad posture and what it looks like. Number two, we're going to talk about what good posture looks like and how to fix it, how to fix your posture. Number 3, I'm going to show you some simple movements. I'm not even going to call them exercises. Simple movements that you can do to encourage good posture throughout the day. And then number 4, I want to talk about what it is that you need to pay attention to and how it affects your mental health when it comes to posture. Okay, so first things first, what causes bad posture? Well, we are an adaptation to our environment over time. I'm going to say that again. We are an adaptation to our environment over time. What that means is whatever our environment is, a truck seat, a computer seat, the couch, how we stand, how we move, how we breathe, all of that is usually a reaction, a reflection, an interpretation, a response to what our environment is. We can also look at the people, the emotions, the relationships we have. We physically respond to that, and it's an accumulation over time. And if we're not aware of our environment, we're not aware of how we're responding day in and day out. So if you sit, let me grab a chair, I'll be right back. So if you sit, a lot during the day, okay, you may not be aware of it in the beginning, but over time, driver's seat, computer seat, couch, bench, whatever it is, doesn't matter. There's this like 9 a.m. or 6 a.m. adjustment that we're like, la, 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 so upright, right? And then as the day goes on, it's like the seat starts to consume us. We start to slouch, our head drops, we round our back, and we like slowly start to shrink down. We start to adapt to our environment. We start to kind of adapt to the seat. Now, as a driver, I hear all the time, I can't afford a better seat. I can't afford a support for my seat. Well, you know what you can't afford? You can't afford the bills that you're going to have from pain medication, chiropractic visits, God forbid a surgery for herniated disc. Like, that's what we can't afford. So a couple $100, maybe $1,000 could be saving you a lifetime of pain. But that seat is your environment, and you are adapting to it until you're aware that that's happening. So think about your environment. How is your environment throughout the day? What are you engaged with? How do you move? What shoes do you wear? Are they overly supported? Are they really heavy? Do they have a heel? Are they worn out? Do you walk on the edges of your feet? Like, what is your environment like? Do you walk on uneven ground, or do you walk on concrete? What do you sit on? How do you stand? All of that affects your posture. Now, what does bad posture look like? Well, there's a lot of versions. And if you haven't yet grabbed, I'm like so not prepared here, you guys. If you haven't yet grabbed my book, Trucking Yoga, in the book, let's see if I can find it, because we're going to talk about this right now. So you're in luck. In the book, we talk about different types of posture and how that could affect you. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So number one, when you're looking at posture, there's the leaner. Drop it in the comment section. If you're the leaner, that is the child on the hip, except your child's 35 and doesn't need to be held anymore. That's the laundry basket on the hip. That's the bag on the hip. And this is how you stand. Now, you might catch yourself standing like this in the grocery store. You might catch yourself standing like this in line, or just standing like this having a conversation. Now, our body adapts to this over time. So the second you try to correct this, you might notice that your body starts to fatigue, your back starts to hurt, your knees start to bother you. Why? Because you've trained your muscles, you've trained your tissues to prefer this position. Even though your body hates it, on a surface level, this is what it's used to. Okay? So are you the leaner? Drop it in the comment section. Let me know if you're the leaner. Okay? Let me know if you're the leaner. Number two is the forward head gawker. Now, this one's for all my computer people and all of my drivers. The forward head gawker is where your head is several inches forward than your shoulders. Okay? Now, you might not start out like that during the day, but over time, especially texting, looking down at books, at phones, at computers, at the steering wheel, at the windshield, the head starts to come forward. I'm going to show you how to fix that tonight too, by the way. I'm going to show you how to fix that. So are you a forward head gawker? Not only is the forward head gawker just kind of annoying, but every inch forward puts roughly about 30 pounds of pressure on the shoulders. So your head is 3 inches forward. Do the math. Like, that's like several bowling balls that your neck is trying to carry every single day. Okay? And if you have tension headaches and head migraines, your posture might be causing that. All right, number three is the arched back belly dropper. So that is, I always think of it like you were pregnant if you were a woman and you're no longer pregnant. So I have this severe arch in my lower back. This is called lordosis. And oftentimes the hip flexors are super tight and the back muscles are super tight. And as a result, it's really hard to bend forward because now our hamstrings are super tight. So do you fall into that category? You might be a combination of these two, you guys. All right, next one is the flat back booty tucker. So this is a lot of guys where the tailbone is actually tucked under a little bit more and the glutes are tucked under. They kind of go from back to booty to hamstring. There's no difference. It's just one straight line. And oftentimes that's paired with a more kyphotic shoulder, so rounded head forward. This is often the position. It's kind of collapsed here, overstretched and weak here. So maybe that's you. Maybe that's you. Your posture is just kind of sucked into itself. All right, next one is the military soldier. If you've been told by your grandmother, your mother, your aunt, whoever it is, gosh, maybe the military itself, shoulders down and back, chin up, chest up, they meant well, but that posture has its own issues as well. So that looks something kind of like this. Chest up, open, which is great, but then the back is a little bit tight and the head is usually slightly up. So now I'm losing my core engagement, my back muscles are short and tight, And it just really wreaks havoc on the lower spine over time. And the last one we're going to talk about tonight is the non-pregnancy pelvic leaner. And that's the person that usually has their feet turned out, okay? Usually has their feet turned out and thrusts the hips forward. This happens a lot with the hands. Okay, they thrust the hips forward. And the reason why they thrust the hips forward is because they have no glute strength to hold the torso upright, because the glutes are the shelf for the lower back. So they thrust the hips forward. That's why heavier set people and pregnant women tend to thrust the hips forward, because there's a lot of weight here and they don't want to have to carry it. They don't have the glute strength to carry that larger belly in front. And so we lean and thrust to use our bones rather than our muscles, which again, you're going to be feeling that in your lower back, your hips, your neck even as time goes on. So where do you fall in that spectrum? If you're like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about those, I have a whole chapter on posture in the book Trucking Yoga. You can check that out. But where do you fall? Where do you fall? Maybe you're a combination of that. Maybe you kind of have like an uneven posture where one shoulder's up and one shoulder's down. There's tons and tons of variations of posture, but we want to recognize that maybe ours is not ideal. And we want to recognize how it is that occurred. And most of the time, we are simply responding to the environment that we put ourselves in. Your environment can be the shoes you wear, the seats you sit in, the surroundings, the earth that you're walking around in, but even the relationships you have. If you're stressed, if you're in an abusive relationship, or you're not very confident as a person and it's really hard to interact with people, you tend to close yourself off, hunch forward, protect yourself. Like, these are all adaptations, responses to what's around us. And our physical body is responding back to that. Okay, so what bad posture looks like, what's causing bad posture, there's a lot of reasons, but number one, it's our environment. It's how we're responding to the world around us. It's what's happened to us, and it's accumulation over time. But the third thing I want to talk about tonight is how to fix it. How to fix poor posture. And in order to fix poor posture, bad posture, we have to know what good posture looks like. Now, I don't expect you to walk around like a robot all day long, but we do need a framework. We do need a framework so that we know where to go with all of this. So I want you, now if you're driving, don't do this, but if you can, I just want you to stand up and kind of just move your body a little bit, kind of bounce a little bit, and then drop yourself and look down. Don't move anything. Look down at your feet and notice which direction they're pointing. Notice which direction they're pointing, because I have an inkling feeling that your feet may not be pointing forward. And so everything above your feet are your foundation. Everything above your foot is responding to your foot. So if you have a slight turnout on one foot, your knee, your hip, your shoulders, your neck, your back, everything is responding to that. It's adapting to that. If you look down, maybe you have one foot further forward than the other, which could mean your hips are off. Hello, chiropractor, I need an adjustment. Maybe you notice, if you have your shoes off, you're going to see this if you have your shoes on, you're probably not, that your arches or ankles are collapsed, or maybe one is. Or maybe you're just noticing you're standing on the outer edges of the feet, or collapsing into the inner arches of your feet. Your body above is simply trying to react and respond to everything that your feet do on a daily basis. If you wear shoes that are super stiff and inflexible, your body has to make up for that lack of mobility. And your feet need full flexibility when you're walking. Cowboy boots, I love my cowboy boots, but they are not ideal to wear day in and day out. Why? Because they do not let my feet move the way that they're designed to. And the rest of my body has to respond to that and has to react to that, which often leads to rigidity and stiffness. So we want to think about our feet first and foremost. So when we're building good posture, if you're just tuning in, if we're building good posture, it starts with the feet. So first thing first, my rule of thumb is if you're going forward, your feet should be pointing forward. Now that seems simple enough, right? Turn your feet so that they're pointing forward. Now, once you do this, you might recognize that, wow, Hope, now I feel weird. It feels off. It hurts. Because remember, your body has been adapting. It has been responding. Muscles have been building in whatever posture you have been living in for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Okay? An adaptation over time. The good news is our body can undo itself. We can build. We can repair. We can renew and restore. So turn your feet straight forward, and if your shoes are off, okay, you can practice with your shoes on, but ideally try to stand with your shoes off. If your shoes are off, I want you to try to kind of rock in your feet and see if you can plug down through all 4 corners of your feet. That's right by the pinky toe and the big toe and on both sides of the heel. Just try to make your weight even. And in doing that, you should feel your legs kind of adjust and shift. All right, so you're plugged down into all 4 corners of your feet. Now that might make your knees tweaky. That might make a weird pinch in your lower back. That may make your hip feel funny. That may fatigue you faster. All of this because now you're using muscles that you're not used to using. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not broken. It's not pain. It's just different. Okay, so rule of thumb, when you're walking, when you're standing, wherever you are, if anything you do, look down at your feet and point them forward. Because when you're walking, your feet should be forward. Because whatever your foot does, your knee does, and your hip does. Okay, so feet forward. That's step 1. Step 1 with good posture is feet. All right? Step 2 is I want you to bring your awareness up to your knees. One of the number 1 things I hear from drivers is their knees hurt. They have bad knees. Okay? I want you to stop labeling your knees as bad, as wrong, as injured, as damaged. You just have knees, okay? And your knees are just reacting and responding to every situation you've put them in or have not put them in your entire life, okay? You just have knees. They're not bad. You just got knees. All right, so now as we look at our knees, for many of us, our knees could be turned in or out, okay? So they could be rolled in or out. Maybe one is one way, one is another way. And there's a lot of muscles, tendons, ligaments, connective tissue going from the hip to the knee to the ankle, and back up again. It's like Pinocchio on strings. And based on how you've been sitting and standing and walking, your knees kind of get caught in that crossfire. So let's build healthier knees by having healthier posture. So now that your feet are plugged in, we're not going to rock on our feet. We're going to realign the knees. I have pants on, but on the back of your knees, you typically have these 2 vertical slits. Think of these like the directionals on your knees. We ideally want them pointing straight back. For many of us, though, they're pointed out or in or uneven. And you can notice this with a mirror, or set your phone up and take a picture of the backs of your legs, or have your spouse or somebody just be like, hey, take a picture of the backs of my knees here real quick. And you can get a feel for that. But you can do this physically right now and adjust this. So if feet are plugged in, you're going to grab your thigh muscles right here, okay? Here's my thigh muscles. I'm not going to move my feet, and all I'm going to do is grab my thighs and try to roll them out. I'm just literally trying to pull my thighs and roll them out like you open an orange. And when you roll your thighs, you're going to notice the weight want to move on your feet, but try to keep them plugged. But more importantly, when you roll your thighs out, you're going to feel your butt cheeks pinch. Automatically. You're going to feel your glutes tighten up. That's how you know you did it right. You're going to roll them out, and you're going to feel like, oh, my glutes are squeezing. This is better than any booty exercise you've ever done, okay? Why? Because these are basic muscles we need every single day. So I'm going to roll my thighs out just enough so I can feel my glutes turn on. Now you have to vary it, because if you have knee pain, just back off, okay? Because those tissues are really tight in your thighs. We're going to fix that in just a little bit. So I'm going to roll them out. As I work my way up my body, we're halfway there, you guys. We have our pelvis, okay? This is my belly, my tummy, where my belly button is. And then if you go down lower, you have your hip bones, which are by your belt loops. Then you have your pubic bone, your pubic symphysis. We all have one. That if you were unzip a pair of jeans, your pubic bone is right down here. So my pubic bone and my hip bones, we all have them. I don't care how much flesh is covering them, all right? They're there. We want them parallel with the wall we're facing. We can also look at the top of our hips. I'm on the top of my pelvis. We want that level. Usually, the majority of us are a little bit more tipped forward, so we want to tip back, okay? So we're just trying to find that level. If anything, just slightly tip your pelvis back and you might notice just a slightly different change. Why do we need what's called neutral pelvis? Because, really important, if you stand like this all the time with a severe arc, belly dropped out, or you stand really tucked all the time, or you stand off-centered, your core can't turn on. Our body is designed for our muscles to automatically turn on. So when someone tells you in an exercise like activate, you can activate a muscle, but like they also are designed to do it themselves, which is really funny. So when we think about activating our muscles, it really means putting the muscles in the right position, putting the body parts in the right position. And you can do that automatically with good posture. So when you're standing in line, waiting to pay for fuel, waiting to check out, you're just standing talking on the phone, whatever you're doing, practice and pay attention to getting the pelvis in neutral. And here's why this is important. It puts your glute muscles back underneath you, okay? And your glute, down back here, is the shelf for the lower back. If your glutes are way back here, they cannot support your back. They're not underneath you. It's like putting something on a shelf, but the shelf isn't underneath. It's going to crash to the ground. So you have to put your glute muscles back underneath you, but more importantly, you're putting your pelvic floor muscles back underneath you and your core muscles back inside of you versus spilling out. Now my booty and my pelvic floor are underneath me, my core is back inside of me. Now my muscles can do what they're supposed to do, like when I pick up something heavy or I pull something or I push something. Whatever it is, those muscles can now activate. As we work our way up the body, we're almost there, you guys, stay with me. We're at the rib cage now. So our ribs, if you have had a lot of weight loss, you've been larger and now you're a little bit smaller body size, if you have had children, if you've done a lot of weightlifting, the rib cage tends to splay out, okay? So we want to think of it like a button in a loop. Just take a nice big breath out and bring those ribs down and in. So it's a little bit smoother right at the bottom of the rib cage. So just exhale and bring those ribs down. Now as you do that, you might notice that your shoulder's round. We're going to fix that in just a little bit. So we're bringing that rib cage down, which is going to help us contract and use our core muscles more effectively. Now, last part here, which is the easiest in my mind, is fixing the shoulders, head, and neck. So the easiest way to fix that kyphosis, that rounded shoulders, is arms out in front. Without bending your elbows, plug your shoulders back so they squeeze. Once you plug the shoulders back, you're the strongest person on earth. Grab the stick in front of you and break the stick so the palms and forearms face up and your shoulders drop. Now you have a neck. Finally, drop the arms down and now you feel nice and open through the chest without pushing the chest to the sky. Finally, chin is level with the ground. Slide the chin back, which should make the back of the neck feel nice and long. And you know your head is in the right position. I'm going to show you a little trick here with the neck. You know your head is in the right position when you touch the base of the skull here. The occipital is this bone here. And you touch that C1, C2, that's that first two vertebrae. When your head is in the right position and you touch, there should feel like there's an indent there, okay? Right at the base of your head, you should feel like it dips in when you push your fingers in. It doesn't feel like it dips in when the head is forward. It doesn't feel like it dips in when the chin is up, because there is no in little divot, okay? It's just kind of like nothing. So neck is long, chin is level, slightly tuck it in. That bump goes away and you can feel just a nice little divot at the base of your skull, okay? And if you're like, oh my God, I hope I don't feel it. What's happening to me? Don't freak out, because I'm going to teach you what you can do to fix these things. Okay, so now we know what good posture looks like. If you want to know more about good posture, grab my book, Trucking Yoga, and it will literally break everything down. I'm trying to give you the Cliff Notes version here tonight. But how to fix it, right? That's why you're here. You want to know how to fix it. Let's start from the feet and work our way up. So first things first, how do I fix my feet? Well, you need to get your shoes off at least once or twice every single day. And roll the ankles. Move the toes. Spread out the toes. Roll on the feet, come up and down. on the feet. You have to use your feet. We walk around all day with casts on. Get the casts off. Yes, I'm talking about your shoes. Get the casts off and use your feet. Roll them out on a water ball. I love me a massage ball. We have them on our website, mothertruckeryoga.com. Roll them out. Roll them out on a tennis ball. I don't care what you do, but use your feet. Stimulate them so those muscles come back to life. So you bring blood flow. All my neuropathy people, you need blood flow back to the feet. So rolling out your feet, moving your feet, stretching your toes. You got to do that every single day. That's not a maybe, that's a must. All right? So step 1, you got to move your feet. Step 2, as we work our way up into our legs, I want to focus on a band called the IT band. That's down the side of the leg. For many of us, it's super tight and it's causing unnecessary knee pain. It's causing unnecessary hip pain. So I want to show you a simple stretch that you can do to help release those tissues, okay? So I'm just going to use a chair, but you can use a wall, the side of your truck, your sleeper, whatever you got. And all you're going to do is take your outside leg, cross it behind. So now my legs are crossed. It's like I have to go to the bathroom. My legs are crossed. Once I cross my legs, I'm going to lean my hip out to the side and bend my front knee just a little bit. I'll show you from a side profile as well. So I'm going to lean, and now I'm starting to feel a stretch in my waist. I'm going to take my arm up, and I'm going to stretch it over. And as I stretch it over, okay, as I stretch it over, so here I am. As I stretch it over, I'm pressing my hips the other way as much as I can. And as I do that, I'm going to feel the stretch wherever it is I am the tightest. Now, if you're doing this and you're like, I don't feel it in my hip, don't freak out, because it's all connected, all right? So I feel it in my waist here, but that pull can also affect my IT band. So this is the one that you're going to do to help stretch the side body, to help improve good posture, to help that lower body, all right? Number three, the exercise, the number 3 exercise that you're going to do to help improve posture is called pelvic tilts. So you can do this while you're driving, and all you're going to do is sit nice and tall. Actually, I'm going to turn to the side because you're going to see me better. You're going to sit nice and tall, and all you're going to do is arc your back as much as you can, kind of spread out those sitting bones. Arc, arc, arc. It might feel stiff. And then round your back into the seat and tuck your tailbone as much as you can. Arc your back, and then round your back. So we're trying to increase mobility in the pelvis so that when we get out of our truck, we don't feel as stiff as a board. I want you to be doing this regularly throughout the day. You're just sitting there driving anyways, you might as well do something, right? And as we do this, we work our pelvic floor muscles, our core muscles. We help loosen our lower lumbar. We help stimulate blood flow. So many good things happen. And then see when you're done if you can settle in to good posture right on those sit bones. So you feel very upright. I'm already sitting taller just from doing that movement, not paying attention to anything else in my body. So a super quick, easy fix to help bring better posture to the pelvis and the lower back. All right, number 4, exercise number 4 for good posture. When it comes to good posture, the chest and shoulders are such a concern for people, especially as we age. That hunching and rounding, that bulge in the neck, okay, becomes such a concern. And if you have anxiety, if you struggle with depression, if you tend to have like breathlessness, that closed off chest, you guys can't get a deeper breath. So it's a vicious cycle you can't get out of until you fix your posture. So I want to show you a really great stretch, or actually a really great chest opener on the wall. So I'm going to come up against the wall. My heels are not quite touching the wall, but my backside is against the wall. All right. My arms, I'm going to come a little bit more into the picture here. My arms are going to come up, ribs down. I'm going to do all those things I did with my posture. Shoulders plug back. Now I'm going to create a cactus, elbows at shoulder height, and press my arms back as hard as I can against the wall, level my chin, and try to bring my entire back body against the wall. Now my glutes are engaging, my feet are engaged, my hamstrings are engaged, my core is even engaged, because pushing my whole back body against the wall is really hard. For a lot of us, the elbows might touch, or the hands might not touch, or it might be difficult to get the elbows at shoulder level. Or you might find that the head won't seem to lengthen upright, the neck won't seem to lengthen upright. But can I stay here for a minute? Can I stay here for 2 minutes? Can I stay here for 3 minutes? You might be thinking, Hope, this is like so silly, but I promise you, this is a great posture corrector in order to build better posture in your body. Now, once you've done this for yourself, see if you can slide your arms up the wall without taking your hands, forearms, or elbows off the wall. How high can you get? And more importantly, how high can you slide your arms up the wall without arcing your back and popping your ribs? So now this becomes a core challenge, a chest opener, and an upper back strengthener, which is what we need for good posture. And then sliding back down again. Goalpost, not out here, goalpost. Can you do this 10 times in a row? I can really feel this on my left shoulder because that's a little bit tighter for me. And then coming back down again. You want to go for the gold here, add hand weights. Add soup cans, add water bottles, and you will see this challenge increase tenfold. And then come back down. So that is probably my favorite postural exercise that you can do when it comes to the upper back. Super simple, super easy. You can even do this on the bed if you wanted to, if you don't have a wall space. I just believe in finding things that are practical and work well. And so we're here, all right? And then one of the last things I'm going to show you today is when it comes to head. And this is really easy. You're going to interlace your fingers, place it at the back of the head, pull your elbows open as wide as you can go without pushing the ribs out, all right? Pull your elbows open as wide as you can go, and now push your head back into your hands and resist your head. Push it back as hard as you possibly can. Pull your elbows open so you can't see them in your peripheral vision, and push your head back as hard as you can. And as you do that, hold it for a count of 10, and then release. And then again, shoulders pull back, don't pop the ribs, and push your head back into your hands, chin level, hold that. And then release. Whew. All right. That's 5 movements that you can do to improve posture. We have tons more inside the Lifestyle Jumpstart platform and app on our site. We have tons more inside Trucking Yoga, but these are just 5 exercises, 5 easy movements that you can do to improve posture. You have your posture guide from foot to crown of head that you can pay attention to. Pick one thing. Pick one thing that you can do to improve your posture and commit to it. Rather than trying to fix everything, which becomes overwhelming, can I do one thing? Can I apply one thing to my everyday life so that I can move down the road of health and wellness one step at a time? One of the most common questions I get is, Hope, like, where do I start? Where do I begin? The answer is right here and right now. If you're waiting for me to give you some magic formula or some regiment of things to do, you're going to be gravely mistaken, because I would much rather have you commit to one thing you learned here tonight, do it for 7 days, heck, do it for 30 days. And if you can commit to one thing, you can commit to more things. And so that next step then is Mother Trucker Yoga's Lifestyle Jumpstart app. It's applying those other exercises, but I want you to make these small changes first. I want you to pay attention to your posture first. I want you to step into a new version of yourself tonight with one small, simple change. So step 1, what one thing are you going to apply to your life here tonight? And step 2, if you're ready to start taking your fitness, your wellness, your everyday life movements to the next level, let me know down in the comments below and let's talk. Let's see what that journey will look like for you. But every movement counts. Your health matters. Every movement counts, because without your health, what do you have? And every movement counts, because it is the small, simple changes that lead to the big results in your life, so that you, my friend, can feel good again. So what's it going to be? I'm so excited that you are able to take that next step in your health, that you committed to yourself. What's it going to be? What are you going to apply to your life? What are you going to pay more attention to so that you can move your health journey forward? Because without your health, what else do you have? And so thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Let us know down in the comments below, what's your biggest takeaway today? What is the one thing that you learned that you can apply to your life? And don't forget, that like button and love button and that share button cost you $0, and it helps get this message out to more drivers just like you. And so thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you guys on the flip side. Thanks so much and have a great night. Peace out.